Hello. Okay, guys, we are live. So just give me a minute and then we can start this session. Okay, so let's begin. All right. So hey everyone, I'm Viraj Jain, your mentor at GeeksforGeeks. And in this video, we are going to start with AWS. So before continuing, please tell me in the live chat, am I audible enough or not? Voice echo to nahi ho rahi hai. And also give me a confirmation about the background noise. Okay. I'm just checking my live charts. So please mention everything is fine, voice is fine, and then we can continue with this session. Okay. Okay, I think everything is fine, but okay, I think audio is clear. Chalo, let's begin. So, this is going to be the first session of our AWS playlist. And basically, what we're going to do is we are going to cover a lot of important topics of AWS. Topics like EC2, S3, Lambda, Elastic IP address, Elastic volume, okay, Elastic block storage, and we are also going to cover some more important topics. I'm going to mention all of them right now, and then after that, in the upcoming videos, we are going to cover them one by one. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to share my screen and I'll be explaining what's exactly AWS and what are the things which we are going to cover throughout this playlist. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so I think yes. Now someone mentioned yes. Okay, code with me. Thanks for mentioning. So first of all, I am going to explain you what's exactly AWS. Okay, what's exactly AWS? So AWS is like a storage for you. Okay, so you might have used Google Drive. You might have used some other platforms. I use some platforms like nowadays we have Telegram and different storage places where we store our things. Okay, so that's where you store your images or you share your things. Okay, that's what storing something else. Okay, but if I talk about AWS, okay, AWS is a cloud service provider. Okay, it's a cloud service provider. It means like suppose you are creating a website. Okay, you are creating a social media website, and suppose I am a user, I have some profile picture, I have some posts. Okay, similarly you are another user, you have your profile picture, you have your posts, you have your chats, and so on, all the details. So where is this data being stored? So this data is stored in some kind of database, right? Now this database, if suppose you have this database in your local machine, your local computer. Suppose you are the CEO of the company, you are the CEO of Instagram, and you handle everything with just your laptop. That means your laptop's hard disk is containing all the users data. Suppose your laptop is having some limited amount of memory. First of all, it has some limited amount of processing power and RAM and also hard disk. Okay, that's one problem. Second thing is suppose someone just throws away your laptop. Okay, I'm not going to throw this one, but yeah, just for example, someone throws away your laptop. You are the CEO of the company and your laptop is totally destroyed. अच्छा महंगा वाला laptop. Okay, expensive one. So in that case, where is the backup? You can't do anything. Okay, worst case scenario, you don't have any backup and things like that. So to prevent all of these things, we actually rent out some place on the internet. Okay, that's what AWS provides. Okay, AWS provides you a virtual machine. Okay, it provides you some virtual storage, virtual machine, and some services which are really helpful for handling your website, or you are having a back end, you are having a front end, you are having some database, or you are having some like full stack application. Okay, different kind of scenarios. You are going to have it in AWS. You're going to store these things in AWS. One more example is like, suppose you are creating Netflix. Okay, so suppose I'm the owner of the company. I build the application. Okay, suppose I build the application, and suppose 100 movies are available on Netflix. How you watch the movie? How you watch the movie? So it's very simple. When you have the subscription, then you are allowed to watch the movie. But can't you just get the link of the movie directly from the server by just doing some kind of inspect element in the website of Netflix, and you can directly watch the movie with that link, just link? Is it possible? No, it's not possible. Why it's not possible? Because you are not subscribed. So the link which you get for the movie when you start watching a movie, suppose just now I was watching some movie, so it's like मैं बहुत भूल गया कौन सी मूवी थी, ठीक है. So it's like कि if I'm not subscribed, then I won't get the proper link. What's that link? This is the link of the video. Okay, it's just not just a normal video link where you share YouTube videos. You have shared your YouTube video to your friend. That's a normal link. Okay, but AWS give you a pre-signed URL. What's a pre-signed URL? It's a unique sequence of tokens which is only given to those people who have subscribed, and it changes every time you load the website. Every time you load the movie, new link would be generated. So it's like no one can hack things, no one can download it without any permission. So that's the benefit of this subscription things and so on. So if you are creating some subscription based platform and you want unique URL every time user loads the website, so that no one can download the movie, no one can share the movie if they have not subscribed, in that case, what you're going to do is you're going to use some cloud service like AWS. And Netflix, by the way, uses AWS. So just for your information, right? So now I told you what's the purpose of AWS, a very basic thing. Let's explore a few more things. First of all, what is AWS? Amazon Web Services. Okay, so it comes inside cloud computing. So if you are that guy who doesn't know that much amount of cloud computing, that's totally fine, because honestly, it's role specific. So if you don't know the complete usage of cloud computing, that's totally fine. I, as a developer, I'm a one stack developer. So when I started learning AWS, I didn't know much about cloud computing. I just knew the basics, that what is cloud computing and what are types of cloud computing, like public, private, hybrid, like that. So very basic things, and which I think if I didn't know, that would also work. But if you start learning cloud computing, that would be great. But if you start right away with AWS, I would suggest learn cloud computing throughout, like concepts of cloud computing, which are taught in colleges also nowadays. So it's very basic concepts, just terms in cloud computing, that would be really helpful. Okay, so if you are right away starting with AWS, that's totally fine. But the first originating term of AWS is cloud computing. Okay, so first you must know a very basic definition of cloud computing. Then after that, we're gonna start with definitions of AWS and the concepts inside AWS. Okay, so first of all, cloud computing. What is cloud computing? So cloud computing refers to the delivery of computing services, including servers, storage, databases, networking, and so on. Okay, that's what I told you. Suppose you are the owner of a company and you are having the complete front end, back end running on your laptop, and everyone is accessing things from your laptop. Suppose your laptop is destroyed, that can happen. Okay, घर पे आग लग गई या कुछ हो गया, ठीक है. So suppose your laptop is destroyed. So in that case, suppose you don't have a backup, you don't have anything. So in that case, you need a cloud service. Okay, you need a cloud service. Cloud services can't be destroyed so easily. That's why instead of storing everything in your computer device, and you can't even run your computer device 24/7, right? You can't run your server 24/7 on your laptop. It can't happen. So you're gonna store your backend, you're gonna store your front end, you're gonna store your database into a cloud service. Okay, so that what is the purpose of cloud computing, right? So cloud computing refers to the delivery of computing services, including servers, storages, databases, and network devices. It provides some more things, and all of this is stored in the internet. All of these things happen with the connection between internet. Okay, that means your server, your cloud computing server might be in some other country like America, and right now I'm in India. So it happens like that. Okay, I don't need to have anything on my laptop. It's available in some other kind of server. Okay, so you can assume server is like a big computer. Okay, a big computer. Right? I'm using MacBook. Okay, it's a small computer. Okay, it can have some limitation. A big computer which is in America, which acts as my server, which would be handling my backend and things like that, is going to handle a lot of traffic. So it's going to make my website faster. So that's why cloud computing is needed. Okay. Now, it's the backbone of the internet. First of all, if you are having any website like Netflix, you're not going to store the movies in a single place. Okay. You're not going to store the movies in your laptop and then everyone can watch the movie. No, you're using a cloud service. Okay. In cloud service, you're going to have some storage. Their movies are stored. So that's the purpose. And now, what's the benefit? It's first of all flexible. You can increase the amount of storage, decrease the amount of storage. That is flexibility. Similarly, scalability. Again, you can increase the number of servers as per the demand. It's very scalable. Okay, and it's very cost effective. Again, if you suppose if I give example of Amazon. Okay, Amazon website where you do shopping. Suppose right now there is no sale. Okay, there is no sale in the website. Generally sale comes during the Christmas time or New Year time, or if there is some festival. So at that time there would be more number of customers. Okay, more number of customers. But at this time, right now, today, if I talk about today, we don't need that much of that much amount of power for our systems. Okay, so for example, in normal days, Amazon needs. I'm just giving you an example. In normal days, Amazon needs 1 GB of storage. Amazon website needs 1 GB of storage. Now, if there is a festival or if there is a sale, Amazon website would need 10 GB of storage. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. So right now I need 1 GB of storage. That's fine. But if there is a sale, how can I scale this to 10 GB? That's what is used with the help of cloud computing. So cloud computing would directly help you with the help of load balancers and auto scaling groups. We can actually increase our storage without actually shifting to another place or anything. Without doing anything, we just need to change the number. Automatic things would be done. Automatically the storage would be done as per the traffic. Suppose now you have 10 GB of storage for the sale day, and next day, in the next day, there won't be much customers. So automatically storage would be brought down. That's why cloud computing is very cost effective. Okay, you don't need to buy extra storage, and if it's unused, then your money is wasted. Okay, you don't need to do that. It's for some time you can increase the storage, for some time you can decrease the storage. Okay, that's why it's cost effective. Now after that, there are some extra benefits of it which you would see throughout learning AWS. Okay, or you can just search about what is cloud computing in brief. You would understand a lot of things. Okay, now let's talk about some important things that is cloud computing categories. Okay, so we basically have three general categories: IaaS, okay, then we have PaaS, okay, and then we have SaaS, SaaS. Okay, so it's infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and we have software as a service. Okay, so these are three type of categories which we have in cloud computing. So infrastructure as a service, it's like the whole. It's like provides virtualized computing resources over the internet, and users can rent virtual machines, storages, and network resources with pay as you go basis. Okay, so it's like if I talk about IaaS, we're gonna get machines like where we're gonna have our backend. Okay, we're gonna get virtual machines. Then we're going to have storage where we're gonna store our data. Then we're gonna have some network resources. It's like for faster connectivity and for some security. We're gonna have some networking resources. Okay, any way to use AWS without a credit card? No, you can't use AWS without a credit card. What you can do is I can suggest one credit card. It's like I use Amazon Pay's credit card, ICI credit card. So you can use that one because it's Amazon Pay's credit card and that's connected with ICI also. So you can use it for normal purchasing also and with Amazon also and Amazon Web Service also. Okay, so you can use that one. But yeah, you need an account. You can't do anything without that. You need an account. Why? Because for initial 1 year, AWS is free. Okay, but it's like suppose after 1 year you have a service which is running 24/7 on AWS, and you are not paying any bill for that. So how AWS would ask you for money? So they would deduct it from your credit card. Okay, that's why credit card is needed, and there are a lot of users. But honestly, for 1 year, you don't need to worry about anything. And with time, when we are learning AWS here, I'm going to explain you what things you must keep running 24/7, what things you must avoid to run 24/7, so that there is no bill which is counted on you. Okay, it's like for 1 year, you won't be charged anything. But after 1 year, if there is some service which you are running after 365 days, there is some service which you are running. So from that day, from 366th day to the whatever date you have, I think it's 1 month or 1 year, you can pay accordingly. So it's like you have to pay after 1 year. Okay, you have to pay after a year. Your billing starts after 1 year. Okay, from 366th day and so on, the billing starts. For 1 year, you won't be charged. Okay, so you can use a credit card, there is no issue. But yeah, it's compulsory. It's compulsory to use a credit card, because without that, account won't be created. Okay, right. So now let's continue. And yeah, we have IaaS, where we have machines for storing your backend, storage for storing your database, and network resources for handling the security stuff. Then we have platform as a service. It provides platform allowing customers to develop, run, and manage applications without dealing the underlying infrastructure. Okay, so if you need only some platform where you can write your code and things like that, then you can use PaaS, cloud computing. And then we have software as a service. Okay, any virtual credit card hack, no, I haven't tried that, because initially when I started to create an AWS account, I tried virtual credit card hacks. It's like you get virtual credit card number and then OTP, but that didn't work in most cases. It doesn't work, but yeah, you can try that. Some people have mentioned tutorials on YouTube where they use virtual fake credit cards that sometimes work, but I'm not sure. I tried one of those, but that didn't work, so I have to use my original credit card, and it's free, so that doesn't matter. Like, they won't charge you anything. I think 2 rupees would be charged, 2 rupees or something like that would be charged for just starting your account. That's it. Okay, and then for the next year you won't be charged anything, and after 1 year, that means after 1 year, you start from day 366. From day 366 and so on, money would be charged. Okay, so for 1 year, initial 1 year, there won't be any charges. So I would suggest use the genuine one, because when next time when you actually want to do something with your AWS account, and your account is created with a fake credit card, so that would be a big problem. So I would suggest go with an original one. You can take your relative's credit card or anyone's credit card, भरोसे वाला हो कोई तो उसका क्रेडिट कार्ड ले सकते हो. ठीक है, सो या बेसिकली यू कैन डू दिस with a credit card. Okay, Shiva, hi bro, hi Shiva. Okay, so the third one was software as a service. So it delivers software application over the internet on subscription basis. When you have subscription, you're gonna use those software. Okay, and when you don't have the subscription, you can't use the software. It's like if I give example of AWS only, if you have given the billing, then you can use their service. If you don't have the billing, then you can't use the service. Okay, I'm just giving an example. It's not in SaaS, but yeah, just an example. Okay, subscription based. So now there are three types of clouds: public, private, and hybrid. Okay, so public cloud service is like anyone on the public can access that cloud service. It's basically AWS is public cloud service. Anyone can go to their website and use AWS. They can create their own service. Okay, yeah, that's public cloud. And then we have private cloud. Okay, then we have private cloud. So it's actually operated by solely single organization. For example, if I give example of Google. Okay, if I give example of Google, generally their websites are like, you would be using their website, but can you see their code? Can you see their code? Can you see their internal code? No. So that's basically somewhere stored in their private cloud. Okay, so if I talk about very secure stuff of the company itself, they are stored in the private cloud. And public is for everyone. Anyone on the internet can use the service. That's public service. And private, it's like only people in that company can use that cloud service. That's private service. Okay, then we have hybrid is just a combination of both public and private. So it's like some services are available for the public, some services are only available for the private people. Okay, so now guys, these were some basic terms which I wanted to tell you. Now we're going to start with directly with AWS. Okay, directly with AWS. So AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. Okay, Amazon Web Services is a comprehensive and widely used cloud computing platform provided by Amazon.com. It was launched in 2005 and offers a broad set of cloud services like which we are going to talk about today. And a lot of people actually use AWS, including Netflix. Netflix uses AWS, and somewhere I heard NASA also uses AWS service. So yeah, that's why AWS is very reliable. And there are other services also like Google Cloud Service or Microsoft Azure. But why I prefer AWS is it's like it was taught in my colleges also. That's why I started with AWS. Okay, so other platforms are really great. Azure is also really great, and Google Cloud is really great. But when I started with AWS. That's why I'm sticking with that. Okay, it's not like AWS is great and Google is not great, Google Cloud is not great, or Azure is not great. It's not like that. All of them are great. All of them have their functionality. Some platform is good in machine learning services. Some platform is good in overall services. Okay, so if you're talking about overall services, I think AWS contains everything, so you can stick with that. Or if you want, you can try others also. But for that, you have to refer to some other tutorial, right? Because things are different there. Okay. For AWS, you can refer to this playlist, which we are continuing right now. Okay, so yeah, AWS actually provides us, first of all, it computes things for us. It's like you're gonna have your backend stored in a virtual cloud. Okay, virtual cloud. It's like in America. Right now I'm in India. Okay, I have 4 GB of RAM and 500 GB of hard disk space. I have some limited computation power, so I can handle very less amount of processes. Why? Because I have very less power. Okay, so AWS has created servers, data centers. Okay, where what actually happens? A lot of computational powers are here, supercomputers are there. So basically, they can handle large amount of traffic and a lot of things. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna host my backend to their data centers. Okay, to their servers. That's it. That's what is the purpose of AWS. Okay, so it provides more computation power. Second thing is what it gives us databases for a lot of storage. Okay, so with power you need storage also. So if you need 1 TB of storage and you only have 500 GB of storage in your computer, so either you have to purchase your storage or you can use some cloud service. So we are going to use cloud service of AWS. Okay, 1 TB, 10 TB, 100 TB. जो बोलो हम वो स्टोरेज ला के देंगे. Okay, so that much amount of storage you can get, but yeah, you have to pay as per your use. Okay, it's like if you are using 5 GB of storage, you're gonna pay accordingly. If you're gonna use 5 TB of storage, you're gonna pay accordingly. Okay, so that's what is the benefit. And now, guys, the third thing is networking. So AWS provides a virtual private cloud. It's like I don't want anyone outside from the world to have access of my database. So virtual private cloud is that it's like only your backend can access your database. Okay, that's what happens in full stack application. Only backend can access the database. No one else can access the database. Okay, so for that we can create virtual private clouds in AWS. So that's what VPC is for. And then we have AI ML stuff. Okay, so if you are someone who is in artificial intelligence or machine learning, so AWS provides a lot of services for that also. So it's like you can host your models and different kind of things in AWS. Okay, then we have different kind of management tools and analytic tools. You can analyze your traffic and different kind of things with the help of AWS. So it's very beneficial for big companies. Then it also provides IoT tools, so Internet of Things, for cyber security stuff. Okay, so these are all the things which AWS generally provides. Now, guys, we're gonna talk about some terms which we have in AWS. Okay, so I'll be talking about them one by one. Just give me a minute. Okay, so guys, first of all, we're gonna talk about some services which AWS provides, and I'm just giving you some short definitions of each. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to discuss them one by one. Okay, so the first service which you actually have in AWS is IAM. Okay, so we'll be drawing that now, and I'll be just writing things here one by one. Okay, so yeah, first of all, the first service which we have is IAM. Okay, so IAM basically is a service provided by AWS, and it stands for Identity and Access Management. So in short, if I give you a definition, It's basically, suppose you are the owner of the company. Okay, you are the owner of the company. You don't know how to code. Okay, you don't know how to code, but you have some people in your company, they know how to code. I'm not talking about customers, I'm talking about my employees. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have an AWS account. Okay, and we are going to create IAM users. Okay, we're gonna create one employee, okay, who is going to handle, suppose, my database. Second employee is going to handle my backend. Third employee is going to handle my analytics. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create IAM users. Okay, user 1, user 2, and user 3. I am the root user. Okay, I am the company owner. I am the root user. This is my AWS account. Root user means the person's AWS account. Okay, whose account it is. It's the root user. Okay, and then there are some employees. They are gonna be IAM users. Okay, user 1, user 2, user 3. So you're gonna say that your user 1 is going to handle what? Your database. That means user 1 has only access to manage the database. Okay, manage the database. Or if I give you one service example, it's like AWS has some services. Okay, one service is, suppose, S3 service. Okay, S3 service. So user 1 is only allowed to manage S3 service. Similarly, another user in your company, okay, in your company is user 2. User 2. This user 2 is allowed to only manage the backend, that is EC2 instances. Okay, we're gonna create backends in EC2 instances. So user 2 is only allowed to manage that. And similarly, we can create another user. Okay, another user. So you can say, suppose this is user 3. User 3. User 3 is proficient in both S3 and EC2. So we're gonna say that this user can access both things. Okay, and this user 2 can access only EC2. Okay, and this, right now, if you're a beginner, you might not be aware about what's EC2, what's S3. Don't worry, but yeah, you can consider these are just services. Okay, so we're gonna say that this one is only allowed to use S3. So you can see that user 1 is employee 1. He can use S3 service, he can manage S3 things. User 2 can manage EC2 things. User 3 can manage S3 and EC2. These three are employees. User 1, user 2, and user 3 are employees of my company. They are not the customers, they are the employees of my company. Okay, I am the root user, I'm the owner of the company, I own this AWS account. Okay, so the role of IAM is to just create some specific rules for each user. Okay, so for each user, they can log in with their account and they can manage some part of my AWS account. Okay, so it's like my employees would be managing my AWS account, some part of my AWS account. Okay, it's like someone would be managing the S3, someone would be managing the EC2, someone would be managing the analytics, someone would be managing the machine learning part. It's like that. Okay, so we can divide different roles and give them login ID and password. Okay, that's it. Right now, after that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the second thing. Okay, so the second thing which we have here is we basically have EC2. Okay, EC2, very important. So if I talk about EC2, EC2 is like, if I talk about being a merge stack developer, so we actually have our backend and front end, right? So your backend is suppose created in Node.js. Node.js is your backend. Okay. So you're gonna have your backend. Right now you are running your backend locally on your computer and it's running fine. But since you want to go public, it's like you want to launch this software, launch this website for public. So you have to host your backend somewhere. Okay, you have to host your backend somewhere so that it can run 24/7 and anyone can use that. Okay, it can run 24/7. Anyone can use your service. For that, for hosting your backend, you're gonna have some device. Right now, my backend is running on Node.js. My Node.js backend is running on Windows 11. Right. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna buy this machine into my cloud service. Okay, we're gonna say that this is suppose an EC2 instance. This machine is an EC2 instance. This laptop is an EC2 instance. The power of this laptop is, what you can do is you can increase the storage anytime, you can decrease the storage anytime as per the traffic. Suppose there is very less traffic, I can decrease the storage, I can decrease the power. Suppose there is a lot of traffic, I can increase the power of this. This is what? This is the power of EC2. So what you're gonna say is you're gonna buy an EC2 instance in the cloud. You're gonna make an EC2 instance in AWS. Okay, and that EC2 instance is nothing but your Windows machine or your Mac OS machine running. Right, that is what EC2 instance. In that machine, you're gonna run your backend. You're gonna host your backend for 24/7. Okay, that is the purpose of EC2. Okay, so again, I'm gonna write here the second tool which we have here is EC2. So EC2. Okay. So the purpose is it would help you to run your backend 24/7 and increase the amount of resources and things as per the demand. Okay, so that is what the purpose of EC2. Now let's talk about the third thing which we have. It's elastic IP address. Okay, so what generally happens is when you host your backend, okay, when you host your backend, what actually happens in EC2, you would get an IP address. Okay, you would get an IP address. So what you actually have is, okay, I'm gonna draw it here. So you will get an IP address. You have your backend in EC2 instance, you'll get an IP address. So suppose the IP address is something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Suppose you get this IP address. Okay. This is an IP address which would allow you to access your backend. Okay. To access your backend, this is the IP address. Next time when you load the same EC2 instance, next time when you start the EC2 instance, this IP address would change. It would become something else. It would automatically change. It would become something like this. Something like this. Okay, this is the new IP address. So this is not good. You need a static IP address. You need a static IP address which never changes. Okay, so for creating a static IP address, we actually have Elastic IP service. Okay, so Elastic IP service, and this is basically giving you a Elastic IP address. That simply means it would give you a static IP address. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use AWS Elastic IP. Okay, so I'm going to say whatever is the IP address, whenever it refreshes, it would always be same. Okay, you can see right now what actually happens here. If I give example of this one only, next time when I refresh this, it would change to something else. Okay, suppose it would change to something like this, something like this. Okay, something, this is suppose a new IP address. Whenever I refresh, IP address would change again and again. This is not an elastic IP. When I apply the logic of elastic IP of AWS, okay, so what I'm going to do is here I'm going to apply elastic IP. What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy an IP address from AWS. Suppose the IP address is what? Suppose the IP address is what? Here itself I'm going to write that. So I'm going to say that elastic IP address is what? 234, something like this. This IP address is always going to be same. Always going to be same. I'm going to attach this IP address 234, this last IP address, to my EC2 instance. Okay, so whenever now I refresh this website, whenever I refresh this website, now this IP address doesn't matter. What we actually have is we have this IP, we have this elastic IP. Okay, so when someone wants to now access our backend, they would be using this IP address. Okay, this is the static IP address. This IP address would never change. That is the purpose of elastic IP. Elastic IP is a service where you can buy IP address from AWS. That's it. So that IP address is yours permanently until you detach it and until you sell it or you can delete it, whatever it is. We'll discuss about that later on. But right now you can assume that we purchased this IP address and this is our static IP address. This IP address would never change. This would be the IP address of our backend. Okay, so that is the purpose of elastic IP. Now guys, after that we're going to talk about other service which we have in AWS, which is EBS volume. So in short, EBS volume is like, suppose right now you are Amazon shopping website and today you don't have any sale, so you're gonna need less storage, or you're gonna say that less amount of products are listed in your website right now. So you're gonna need only 5 GB of storage. But suppose during the sale, okay, during the sales, what actually happens is you're gonna need a lot of storage. Okay, you're gonna need a lot of storage in the website, in the backend. So you need to increase the storage from 5 GB to suppose 10 GB. So to increase this storage without removing the old storage, okay, what generally happens in our laptop is right now, suppose the hard disk is 256 GB. Suppose I want to increase the storage. What would I do is I would replace this 256 GB completely with that 500 GB. That's not good, right? So what else I can do is I can add another 256 GB hard disk. So now we have 500 GB. Okay, so you can assume that EBS volume is like you already had this 256 GB, you are again adding another 256 GB, so now you have what, 500 GB. Okay, so that what is something like EBS volume. You don't need to replace the complete hard disk. Instead, you are just adding another hard disk, so now your volume is increased. Okay, so for making 500 GB, either you can have a single 500 GB device, you're gonna remove the old 256 GB, or else what you can do is you're gonna keep 256 GB and you're gonna add another 256 GB. Now you have 500 GB, okay, 512 GB, right? So that's the purpose of EBS. It's like you can add as many volumes as you can, you can remove as many volumes as you can as per the demand. Okay, that is the purpose of EBS. Okay, so I'm gonna write this term here, EBS. Very important term, and we're going to discuss this later. Okay, so EBS, it stands for elastic block storage. Okay, elastic block storage. So it's like whenever you want to increase the storage, you can increase the storage. Whenever you want to decrease the storage, you can decrease the storage. That is the elastic block storage. Okay, that's it. Now guys, we're going to talk about the next term which we have in AWS, which is Amazon Machine Image. Amazon Machine Image. Okay, so remember I told you about EC2, right? So EC2 is a virtual computer in the cloud. Okay, so you can know that right now, suppose you are a Merge-type developer and you have created your Node.js backend. You know that your Node.js backend was running in Windows 11. Okay, so what actually Amazon does is when you are trying to when you're trying to buy a virtual machine, when you're trying to create a virtual machine in AWS EC2, what actually happens is AWS asks you, do you want a Windows machine? Do you want a Linux machine? Do you want a Mac OS machine? Right? So that is what machine image is. What type of machine you want? What type of EC2 instance you want? So I know that my Node.js backend would run perfectly in Windows machine. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select Windows machine image. Similarly, I know that my Node.js backend would be running properly in Linux, better in Linux, faster in Linux. So instead of Windows, I'm going to select Linux machine. Okay, so that's what is the machine image. Okay, so it's like you are installing an operating system on your EC2 instance. That is the purpose of Amazon machine image. Okay, so this is also a term which you must know, and we're going to discuss this when we learn EC2. Okay, so Amazon machine image. Okay, and everything is going to be free, guys, so don't worry about anything. It's like you have to purchase them. No, for 1 year everything is going to be free. You're gonna learn everything. Okay, now guys, after this what we're gonna do is we are gonna talk about the next tool which we have. It's load balancer. Okay, so load balancer. So load balancer is very easy, very easy. It's like right now I have one computer. Okay, I have one computer. Its maximum capacity, suppose, is right now 5 users. It can handle 5 customers. Suppose 5 more customers come. So this laptop would become slow. Although it can handle 10 customers, but this laptop can become slow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna buy one more storage. I'm gonna create one more storage. Okay, one more elastic instance. Okay, so that what is the purpose of load balancer? You're gonna just replicate this backend. This backend is running on one laptop. Now we're gonna create one more laptop running the same backend, and so on. That is the purpose of load balancer. So suppose 50 users come, so I'm gonna create 50 elastic compute EC2 instances. Okay, so elastic cloud computing instances. So right, so that what is the purpose of the storage which we talked about, load balancer. So load balancer simply creates multiple EC2 instances if there is huge demand, and EC2 instances would decrease if there is less demand. That is the purpose of load balancer. This is known as horizontal scaling. What you are doing is you are not increasing the storage, you are just replicating multiple laptops, you're replicating multiple machines. Okay, so now instead of one laptop with 500 GB, you have two laptops with 256 GB and 256 GB. Okay, that what is the purpose of load balancer, right? I didn't increase the storage, I just created one new laptop only. Okay, that's the purpose. Okay, so that's it, and now we're gonna talk about something else. Okay, let me just write here, load balancer. Okay, load balancer. This is the term which we're going to talk about. Very important term in terms of, it's like if you have huge traffic, you're going to use this. Now let's talk about the next term which we have. It's auto scaling groups. Okay, so remember right now I taught you about load balancer. Load balancer is what? You just created another new laptop, another new laptop. That is load balancer. But I don't want to buy a new laptop. I don't want to create a new EC2 instance. Okay, I don't want to create a new EC2 instance. What I want is I want to increase the storage of this. Okay, that's what we call auto scaling. Automatically increase the storage, automatically decrease the storage. That is the purpose of auto scaling. Okay, so auto scaling comes in vertical. It's like suppose you have a database. Okay, suppose there are 10 users in your database. Okay, and your database is full right now. Okay, so when there is the 11th user coming in your database, data stored of 11th user, will you be buying a new database or you will be increasing the size of database? So you would be obviously increasing the size of database for the 11th user, right? So that is vertical scaling. You're going to increase the size of your table. You're going to increase the size of your storage. That is vertical scaling. And auto scaling simply means vertical scaling. You're going to increase the storage. You're going to increase everything in a single EC2 instance. And load balancer is termed in horizontal scaling. You are buying a new EC2 instance. You're going to create a new EC2 instance. That means multiple EC2 instances. Auto scaling is for increasing the single storage of EC2 instance. Load balancer is for creating multiple EC2 instances for multiple storages. Okay, so yeah, we have one more term here, auto scaling, which we're going to learn in the upcoming videos. So auto scaling. Okay, auto scaling. Now after this, guys, we're gonna have one more important term, which is AWS CLI. So AWS CLI is like you can say command line interface which AWS provides. So in your Windows machine, you might know about Windows PowerShell or Windows CMD, right? And similarly, macOS also we have macOS CMD, and Linux also has some command line interface. So what's that? It's like if you want to control what your EC2 services or any service, we have CLI. Okay, so in EC2 we will get an AWS Amazon CLI, which would allow us to run commands directly. Okay, with just typing commands into the CLI, just like you do in Windows PowerShell or Windows CMD, right? That's what we do in AWS CLI. That's it. Okay, now the next term which we have here is S3. Okay, so remember I told you that we have EC2 for creating our backend. Okay, our backend is gonna run with some with some hard disk and with some RAM and with some processing power. That's what is the backend running on. That means, but we have something else known as S3. S3 is what? S3 is again a storage where you're gonna store your image, video, and different type of files which is not related to your backend. It's generally related to your clients. It's like some client uploaded their profile picture. Where is that profile picture stored? It's not stored in the backend. It's stored in the some separate storage. Okay, that storage is S3. Okay, so S3 would act as your general storage where you are gonna store your images, videos, and files from different customers, which are generally in single place. Okay, so S3 is that storage. Okay, so we're gonna learn about S3 also. So here I'll just write S3 storage. Yeah, this is the term which we have. And by the way, okay. By the way, S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. So just for your information, and EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Computing. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about Amazon CloudFront, AWS CloudFront. So AWS CloudFront is also one storage. It's like suppose right now you are in India. Okay, you are in India, and your backend is right now suppose available in America. Okay, your backend is in America. Okay, or you are a customer. Okay, you're a customer, and the company is in America. It's like Instagram is in America, right? And you are using Instagram from India. Okay, so what actually happens is you make request from India to America, and then request comes back. That's very slow, right? That's very slow. So what actually happens is Amazon has a lot of servers in different parts of every country. It's like in India, we have a server in Mumbai, right? So what actually happens is when I'm trying to make a request, it would first go to Mumbai and then it would go to America. Okay, that's what is the purpose, right? And what actually generally happens is we have Amazon CloudFront. So for example, I want to upload a file. Okay, I want to upload a file. So Amazon CloudFront would generally do one thing. Okay, so you want to upload a file to where? To Instagram servers. Instagram servers are where? In America. It's not in Mumbai. It's in America, right? So first your request, you are in India, you would go to Mumbai, your request would go to Mumbai, and then it would go to America. That means your file would go to Mumbai and then to America. Okay, so that is the purpose of Amazon CloudFront. We'll understand that later in the upcoming videos in brief. But yeah, this is a connection, type of connection which we make, and we send data chunk by chunk to different servers from us to the server, from server to us. Okay, with the help of mediators like we have in Mumbai and different kind of servers. So from America to Mumbai to us, we are receiving a file. So first America would be sending the file to Mumbai. Okay, one byte of file. Okay, then that one byte would be sent to us. Another byte would come, then it would be sent to us. Another byte would come, that would be sent to us. and total size suppose of the file is 1 GB. So 1 byte, 1 byte, 1 byte, 1 byte till 1 GB is covered. Okay, so that's how Amazon CloudFront works generally, and we're gonna talk about this in the upcoming videos. Okay, so I'll just write here AWS CloudFront, very important, CloudFront. Okay, so it's very helpful, and it's for those when you have a website which works globally. Okay, everyone uses your website in the entire world, and suppose you are in America, okay, and someone from China wants to use your website, so it's too far, right? Although you don't face any lag in between, but still a millisecond of difference is a difference. So that's why we have Amazon CloudFront. Okay, very important. It's like some mediator would be there which would help your process to go faster. Okay, your data send would be faster, and different kind of things, your website would be loaded faster with the help of AWS CloudFront. Okay, now let's talk about the next term which we have is Amazon VPC. Front end cannot access your database, right? Front end cannot access your database. So to access your database, backend would be connecting with the database. Front end would be connecting your backend. Okay, front end would be connected to your backend. Backend would be connected to your database. That means I don't want my front end to access my database. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a virtual private cloud which is between my backend and database. Okay, it's like a box where I'm gonna keep my backend and database. Okay, that's a virtual private cloud, and it makes things more secure. No one else can access these things. Only backend is allowed to access the database, and so on. Okay, so that's the purpose of VPC. So we're gonna learn about VPC also, virtual private cloud. Okay, VPC. Now, guys, let's talk about the next term which we're gonna talk about is the Route 53. So remember when I search for Google.com, instantly I get the Google search engine page. If I type youtube.com, I see the YouTube website. Okay, so what actually happens is youtube.com is a domain name, right? Purchased by YouTube. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna purchase domain name from websites like GoDaddy or different websites. I prefer GoDaddy because generally their prices are good. So yeah, you can purchase a domain name. For example, if I give example of Geeks4Geeks, when you type geeksforgeeks.org, you go to Geeks4Geeks website. Okay, so Geeks4Geeks website is hosted. Suppose Geeks4Geeks website is having some IP address, right? Having some IP address. I told you while we were learning EC2, we got some IP address. To connect that IP address, to that domain name geeksforgeeks.org, we actually have this service. Okay, we actually have this service which is known as Route 53. So to connect geeksforgeeks.org to the IP address of your backend or frontend, wherever you want, you're gonna use Route 53. Okay, so that's for connection. So we're gonna talk about Route 53 also in the upcoming videos in brief. Route 53. Okay, Route 53. So this is a very popular service. We're gonna connect the IP address which we get from AWS to the domain name geeksforgeeks.org or google.com, whatever domain name which you have purchased. Okay, you can't purchase these, but still whatever domain name you have purchased, suppose my name is Harshal Jain, harshaljain.com. Suppose I have a backend running there, so I can connect this domain name to that IP address. Okay, things like that. So that's the purpose of Route 53. Okay, so that's it, and now we're gonna talk about the last thing which we have, Amazon Lambda. So Lambda is very important, and you might have heard about AWS Lambda. So let's write it here. So Lambda, Lambda. So Lambda is like serverless architecture. Okay, it's like serverless architecture. You don't have any backend. What you're gonna do is you're gonna just write your functions. Okay, function is like if I provide this function A and B, it's gonna return A plus B. That's what is a function, right? So it's like you can create multiple functions. Suppose one function gives you sum, one function gives you subtraction, one function gives you division, multiplication. You're not creating a backend, you're just creating these functions, and you're gonna store these functions in AWS Lambda. Okay, and in AWS Lambda, you're just gonna say whenever this function is called, return the sum. Whenever this function is called, return the subtraction. This function is called, return the division. Things like that. That is the purpose of AWS Lambda. So it's a serverless architecture where generally you don't have that much amount of backend code. You would have some amount, but that not that much amount. So you're gonna say that yeah, you're gonna have some amount of functions which are decided, and their answers would come as outcome of those functions. Okay, so in Lambda, AWS Lambda, you are generally going to create functions. So I'm just giving example of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division as example. But yeah, you're gonna say that we're gonna create different function. One function would give me addition, one function would give me subtraction, one function would give me division, and so on. So whenever that function is called, I'm gonna get the result directly. I don't need any kind of backend. Okay, so that is the purpose of AWS Lambda, right? So these guys, these are all the things generally which we learn in AWS, we use in AWS. And apart from this, we also have some machine learning things also, but I'm not that much into machine learning. And if you need something kind of that, you can ask me in the comment section in the upcoming videos. We're gonna make videos on that, but nah, yeah, I don't make that much kind of machine learning projects, so I generally don't use the services. But still, you can ask me. So we're gonna talk about things which you can use for hosting these kind of projects, ML based projects. That would be really fun. Okay, so you can also mention in the comment section what else services you want in AWS tutorial series which we are covering right now, right? So guys, these are all the terms which we're gonna cover in this series, whole series. This series was going to be long, but yeah, we're going to cover everything with my AWS account. I already have an AWS account, so that's totally free for 1 year. You can also create that. In the next video, we're going to discuss how we can create an AWS account for free. Okay, and it's for 1 year, totally free. You can use all these services for free for 1 year. So don't worry about anything. Okay, I'm here and I'll explain everything without causing you to spend a single money. Okay, that's it. So guys, I hope you understood the purpose, and we have just given you an overview of this EC2. We covered EBS, we covered Lambda, we covered AWS Machine Image, AWS CloudFront, AWS Load Balancer, VPC, auto scaling, Route 53, and S3 storage. Okay, so these are terms and these are the services which we use in AWS. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the comment section. This was just an introduction video. From the next video, we're going to cover each of them one by one. Okay, so that's it for today. I will see you in the next one. Till then, have a good day. Bye bye.